stumbling out of bed, and I still got you in my head from all those pretty words you said. It's like I'm wasted. Every time I see your face, I'm losing track of time and space. I don't know where I am. It's like I'm wasted, and I won't waste it. And I promise that I will stand by you forever. I can't get you out of my mind. I will follow you wherever, and I won't waste it.
Hi guys, I'm Leanna. If you're new here, hi, welcome. I make videos every week about my family. I'm married to my husband Rob. We have 4 kids. We homeschool, we homestead. We pretty much do what we want, and I make videos about whatever basically comes to mind, depending on the week. I want to start off this video by saying sorry to my returning subscribers. I didn't make any videos last week. I needed the week. Things kind of caught up to me. It's been a weird month. September has been interesting, to say the least. It's just been odd. I can't go into deeper. I know I hate it when YouTubers are really vague like that too. It drives me nuts when they do that. So I understand if you're like, give a better description, give a better, I can't. Things caught up to me. My kids were sick, I will tell you that. They're still kind of sick this week, so that's been fun. Husband was sick, I was sick. Still dealing with stuff from our fridge. That was fun. Not really. Joking. Nah. We've been dealing with harvesting from the farm. We were trying to get a cow, didn't happen, so there's no story there. Ended up buying a bunch of meat. We're gonna try to get a cow next spring, but I'll let you know how that goes eventually. We just had a lot of stuff going on, so some of it I can't share, so it's kind of hard to go over everything that I can share because, well, yeah, so it's been stressful. That's life. I know everybody has crazy lives. But yeah, so the next few videos are going to be fairly simple, fairly easy. I do have a kind of a cool special that I'm going to try to post next week. Can't wait to show you guys. I know I promised you guys a chicken coop walkthrough. I'm going to do that because this is the first time we've ever built a chicken coop, and it's fine. We got it done. We got it done at the beginning of September, but things have been so freaking crazy that doing a walkthrough just hasn't been in the cards until now. So I'm going to film that. That's going to get up. So yeah, there's a lot going on. There's always a lot going on. I did finish painting my downstairs this month, yeah, so that's been great, but it's just been nuts, and I'm sorry. And we are homeschoolers. If you clicked on this, you're probably a homeschooler too, or you're looking at homeschooling. And I just wanted to give some sage advice. I do plan some more homeschool content here in the future too, because it's October. We've been back to school since August. So August, September, October, 3 months. Haha, I still have to count it. Don't care, not ashamed. So I'm gonna give y'all an update on how our curriculum has been working, what has been happening, and some examples of how we switched up for ourselves. Today's video is the stuff I wish I knew before I started homeschooling. I did a lot of research on homeschooling, but there's certain things that just people don't talk about. And it's probably because it seems obvious once you've been doing it a while. And there's not an easy way to explain it to new homeschoolers, but I'm gonna try. These are the 5 things I wish I had known before I started homeschooling. Number 1, I wish I had known how hard it is to homeschool. Like, it all on paper, you're like, okay, you have the schedule, you have the curriculum, you do this, X, Y, Z, you find out your schedule. Like, you write that down and you go, okay, that's not too bad. And you look at what teachers do and you're like, okay, I can do this. And you read the lesson plan and you're like, I got this. And then you don't factor in, especially as a new person, I know I didn't, so I know a lot of other people haven't, your child. Now you factor in their wants and their needs and you're like, this is why I'm doing this, but you don't factor in their like resistance to homeschooling, their resistance to a curriculum, their resistance to you homeschooling. A lot of kids who are coming from public school are like, well, I was at school, why do I gotta listen to you now? That's a fun transition. I'm lying. Or you don't factor in the fact that and most of us homeschooling have multiple children we're homeschooling. It's just hard. It's hard to get your kids to do what you want on a normal day where you're not doing school. And say you're trying to go to the store or you're just hanging out at home and they fight, they talk back, they do all the things that kids are supposed to do. Like, let's be clear, kids are not supposed to be mini adults, they're supposed to be kids. They do things that drive us crazy and it's annoying. Like my son, very active child, did not want to do any written work for the first like 2 or 3 years. Still doesn't want to do written work. At least he doesn't fight me now. But he fights me at doing anything at all because he's a teenager and he's going through that I know better than you phase. And I love my son, but I can't wait till he realizes mom knows a lot. And my girls, like Lucy, hated learning to read. She's a really good reader, but she hated doing the work to get to where she is. She just used to think she should just automatically know it and know it in the first try. I have another one that does that too, and that's frustrating, but that's what makes homeschooling interesting. But I'll be honest, the memes you see on social media where people are talking about in the bathroom or in the closet, locked in, eating a candy bar because we're just that frustrated, that's homeschooling. And that's homeschooling, I'd say, a third of the time for me. Some people, it's more than that. It depends on your child's learning style. It depends on your parenting style. It also depends on the resources you have available to yourself. But you're gonna have days where you're just like, I wish I was sending this kid to public school. And I made the mistake of saying to my son, I'm going to send you to public school, I swear, when he was in like 2nd grade, 1st grade. I went through a phase. And I said that to him, and I said it way too many times. I didn't say it like, I'm clicking, I'm sorry. I didn't say it a lot, but I said it enough to where my son was like, well, do you want me to public school or do you want me to homeschool? And he brought it up to me and I realized I was making a mistake as a parent. And I felt so bad and I apologized and I never did it again. I've realized that harms your child and that's not a good decision. And I've known a lot of other people who made this mistake and a lot of other people who aren't willing to say that they made that mistake, but they made that mistake. And honestly, I didn't realize how many other homeschool moms were like, I hate homeschooling. And it's not that you hate homeschooling. Well, for some people it is. Some people find it a necessity. For us, it was a life choice. And I couldn't vent to other adults because they were like, well, just send them to public school. And you couldn't like get out how much you appreciate what they're learning, what they're doing. Homeschool is worth it. It's 100%, 1000% worth all those hard days. Because I'd say 2/3 of the time, 3/4 of the time for most, you don't have those hard days. And the more kids you have in your house, you're gonna have those hard days because they're people. And I have 4. So like, we're not in sync on our moods. Like today, I feel like my children are in sync when they're all having a bad mood. It's not the case, but that's how it feels sometimes. But we're not in sync on our moods. So some days my son's gonna have a bad day and I'm gonna have an okay day. And his day is gonna overlap into mine and make it hard. Some days my 5-year-old is gonna have a bad day and it's gonna overlap into either my day or her father's or her sister's or her brother. And that's just life. Like if you go to work and you have coworkers, their days are gonna overlap into yours and you're gonna be like, man, that guy was an ass today. And you don't wanna think that about your kid, but we're all people. And honestly, some days your kids are gonna think that about you. They're gonna be like, mom was not feeling it today. She was in a mood. Oh my God, she was acting mean. And it's life. And I wish somebody that had been homeschooling for a while had sat me down and went, that's normal. It's okay. It's okay. Just ignore that. Because the benefits of homeschooling totally outweigh the hardness. Homeschooling's hard. Nobody tells you how hard it is. Because honestly, we don't want to get judged for how we feel about our kids when we're having a hard day. And I think that's every parent. But being a homeschool parent, if you say, oh my God, I cannot stand homeschooling them this week, you're gonna hear from non-homeschooling parents, why don't you just send them to public school? It's not what I wanna do. The next thing that this brings me to is part of the reason why it's so hard to homeschool is it's trying to figure out what to teach to your children. Like, there's lots of curriculum out there. And for a lot of us, we want a secular homeschool because we don't include religion into our homeschool. So that's hard finding that secular curriculum. Even though there's also a lot of religious curriculum. So it's hard to separate that. Another part of the curriculum part making homeschool so hard is maybe you just don't know that subject as well as you thought you did, or your child hates it. They absolutely hate the curriculum. And what I've learned from this experience is there is no one-size-fits-all curriculum. There's not. There's no child that learns at the same pace as another child. There's no child who has the same personality as another child. So there is no one-size-fits-all for family. There's no one-size-fits-all for you and your child if you're just worried about that one. There's not. There's just not. You can buy a curriculum. There's a good chance you'll hate it after a month. Just be okay with that. Be okay knowing that this was made by somebody who went, these are some facts this child needs to know. This is the age level that this would be learned about. The standards for each grade level are pretty much arbitrary. They just go, this sounds good for this age group. And they do look at the social skills and the reasoning skills of an average child of that age usually when they pick those standards, but they're pretty arbitrary. I've actually heard a principal say their standards for kids are just, they kind of wing it. And so I go, all right, well, that's good to know. And then I look at the curriculum, and if my kid's not learning it, my kid doesn't like it, we have to fight every day over it, I switch things up. And I didn't know that was okay. Yeah, it's perfectly okay to go, you know what, it's October. We started this curriculum in August. I hate this curriculum. We're not doing this again. Throw it out. It's perfectly okay to go, you know what? I like this aspects of the curriculum, but I don't like this aspects. Let me get something to supplement and not do this part of what I bought and do this part of what I want to buy. Or, and I've done this, throw the curriculum completely out and make up your own. That's okay too. I've also done I bought this box curriculum, it was expensive. Let me find what I like in this curriculum, and we're gonna do that, and we're gonna figure out the rest. It's okay. There is no one size fits all. There is no great solution. That's why I showed you guys my off the wall different curriculum hauls this year, because I don't buy box curriculum anymore. Don't like it, we don't use it. We throw it out, it's expensive. So we don't use it. We'll let you know an update on how the curriculum choices I have picked this year are doing in a video after this. I'll probably do that next week because that's going to take some prep, because I also have to replace some things this year already. And yeah, just as an FYI, this is something they don't talk about. Every year I've planned for the next year. Every year I start in February and I plan for each kid what we're going to do starting in about July or August. And every year, about October, November time, I go, this isn't working. I swear, it's every year. And I've thrown stuff out, and I have bought new stuff, and I have said, you know what, this is expensive, we're gonna try. Don't do that. Don't do the, oh, it's expensive, we're gonna still try to power through the curriculum for the year, because you'll make yourself miserable the entire 9 months. You'll make your kid miserable the entire 9 months. It's just not fun. And homeschooling's about fun. Homeschooling's about progressing and learning, and your child's not going to learn if they hate the curriculum. And while it is hard to homeschool, it is so much fun to homeschool. Just so you know. Which brings me to my next point. You don't even need a curriculum, if we're being fair. You can unschool. Kindergarten and first grade are the best years to unschool. You'd be surprised how much kids learn. I enjoy unschooling. Just so you know, we do that sometimes. You can, honestly, there are resources on Pinterest. I know I bring that up almost every video. There are resources on teachers help teachers. There's OutSchool. There are just so many resources out there that you don't need a curriculum for a subject. And we don't even use our curriculum that we do buy half the time. We end up actually using it as a guide, and then we make up lessons around it based on what my children need. That's really how we do it. So you don't even need a curriculum if you don't want one. And you can start homeschooling tomorrow. You could pull your child out of school if you're like, I just need this to be done, and you could unschool and deschool for the first few months and get them chilled. Even in states where there's assessments, your child, as long as they show progress from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, they will not say you were not homeschooling. They'll be like, this child made progress. They did what they needed to do. There are ways to show in an assessment that you unschooled and your child is on par. So don't think too much into the curriculum. Just don't. And if you need to, throw it right out the window, because honestly, kids have been learning for thousands of years without it. So there's that. The next thing I would say that I wish somebody had told me when I first started homeschooling was, you don't need socialization. Socialization is a construct that our society has made. Facts. Your child's not going to be weird if you don't want to go out to a class every week. Your child's not going to be weird if they don't have other kids to play that's their ages. They may not be the typical kid, but let's be clear, your kid is homeschooling, so they're not going to be the typical kid. And I'm not saying neglect your kid. Your kid does need interaction, but they don't need what's socialization that everybody brings up when you say you're going to homeschool. They don't need to hang out with other fifth graders. They don't need to hang out with other teenagers. They just don't. They need to be able to interact with people, because when you get out into the real world, you have to interact with people of all ages. You have to interact with children. You have to interact with adults. You have to other adults. Like when you're 19 and you're out in the real world, you're not going to be interacting with just 19-year-olds. You're going to be interacting with 25, 45. You get it. That's the advantage of being a homeschooler, is you learn early how to interact with people that are not your age. Also, I'm just going to be clear. I'm an introvert. Oh no, big shocker. I'm really shy. I would be what an extrovert would call really shy. I don't consider myself shy because I like to talk. And I like to talk a lot, especially to those that I love and that I get along with. But I'm an introvert. If you stay in my house past 9, I'm kicking you out. If you want to visit and your family or your friend and you need to stay overnight, I'm cool. I'm good with up to 3 days. I have found that 3 days is my limit. The 4th day, we'll chill, we'll hang out, I'll be good. But I'm going to want you to get on that airplane soon. And that's okay. That's my interaction style. That is my limit. That is my energy capacity. And with homeschooling, you're teaching your kids to respect their own limiting capacities and their interaction. And besides, I think COVID, and I'm not supposed to say that word on YouTube, I think that has taught us that our kids are fine. They don't have to see 20 other 5-year-olds every day in order to be a normal child, a normal functioning child. They don't need to see and interact on someone else's schedule. They don't need to be in a room shoved with a bunch of other children that they don't necessarily get along with. We've learned to, with the panoramic, we've learned to appreciate our good interactions, because honestly, a lot of us haven't gotten any, because some of us were on lockdown and some of us are still on lockdown, and we've learned to appreciate the times that we can actually interact with each other. And we've also learned our kids don't need to be forced into a room with a bunch of people they don't like in order and call it socialization. At least I would hope most people would learn. I know that's a controversial view, but I honestly feel like, yes, you should be interacting with people. Yes, you should have friends, but no, you do not have to force yourself into a classroom full of people you don't know, probably don't like, in order to get that socialization and interaction. I mean, most of us go to work every day and we can't stand our coworkers, and that's not socialization. We just come home drained and upset and annoyed, and it makes us want to call the people we do care about and be like, hey, interact with me, because I'm not in any really quality interactions, because work is not socialization and school is not socialization. And you don't need to worry about socialization. It's not the worst thing in the world. And a lot of kids are introverted and don't want to go do the activities you are suggesting. The last thing I wish people had told me before I started homeschooling, yes, I got an itch. Sorry, guys. It's okay to take time off. You do not have to go by this school schedule. Your local district takes time off, so it's okay for you to take time off. Another thing, teachers plan fun things like let's watch a movie to go over what we just read. You can do that. That's okay. Also, you can plan party days because the public school system does party days. You don't have to do homeschool every day. Also, another point, you're homeschooling. You do not have to be on your local district's schedule. You don't have to take spring break when they take spring break. In fact, we take spring break either the week before our local district takes spring break or the week after. Sometimes it's not even in the same month, if we're being fair. And we do spring break then because, to be honest, we don't like going to our favorite places like the park or the museum or the library and it being overcrowded. It's just not fun. It's not fun. Everybody else is trying to cram those activities into that week and we're going to let them have that time. We're not going to be in their way because, to be honest, I don't really like other people's kids that much. I like kids, but going to a library with a bunch of spring breakers or going to the museum and there's a bunch of spring breakers there with their parents, it's not as fun. You don't get to do as many activities. You get kind of rushed along because people in packs are kind of mean and it's just not fun. And yeah, Christmas break, we take the whole month because I homeschool year round and that's okay. When I first started, I thought I had to start in the fall like everybody else and end in the spring like everybody else and be on the same date. No, you don't have to do that. You do not have to do that. And you can switch up your calendar to the point where we're not even slightly the same as everybody else. And in states that you do assessments, you can do that in there too. You can. You just need to make sure you turn in your assessment when everybody else does. That's all. Have the paperwork ready. But you don't have to do homeschool on the same schedule as everybody else. You can even do homeschool at night and not during the day if your kids are night owls. I know some people who do that. I know some people who work 40-hour weeks and so they get homeschool in on the weekend and everybody's like 2 days isn't enough. When you have a first and second grader, it is. It really is. And doing it in the evening for 2 hours every day, the most homeschoolers do in a day for as far as themselves, especially elementary, is about 2 hours in a day. Middle school, it's about 3. And high school, it's between 3 and 4 hours, depending on their workload and what they're doing and how fast they're trying to get through high school. So you could do it in the evening. You can go to work and come home and homeschool. Just make sure you have reliable daycare for your child. Not all daycares will take kids that are supposed to be school age, just as an FYI. But that's all I got. That's it. That's what I wish I would have known before I started homeschooling. I know that's kind of a weird video with just me rambling, but I figured I'd share that with you because there's some people I'm sure that still don't know that they've been doing homeschool for a little bit, or they are starting and they're worried they're gonna mess it up. You're not gonna mess it up. It's your kid. You love your kid. You're gonna do the best you can. But that's what I got. Take my little nuggets of advice, if you will, or not. This month is going to be weird, so I'm going to try to post consistently. I needed last week off for health reasons and some other reasons, and I might take another week off here soon. I don't know. I'm going to try not to. I appreciate everybody who watches my videos. I really do. You guys are the reason that I keep making videos and I keep trying even when I don't want to. So thank you. I have a lot of cool stuff planned over the next month and I hope to share it with you guys. Honestly, this is my support system. Thank you guys for being there. I love you guys. I hope you guys are safe out there because it's been nuts. It's still nuts. Every time I think it's calmed down, it's not. So please stay safe. Please be careful. Make good choices. Leave me a comment down below how you're doing because I care about you. And I shall see you guys on the next one. Love you guys.